With less than a month to go for the big Karnataka polling day, which stock is on the rise and whose fortunes are crashing in the Karnataka political exchange? That's my top focus on the Newstrack.
Karnataka political league hots up. Whose political stock is up? Whose popularity is sliding? The biggest mood tracker. Who is winning Karnataka? Big focus on Newstrack.
The Karnataka political league is heading into the middle overs with the BJP and the Congress declaring a majority of their candidates. There have been tears, anguish and departures. Today, former Deputy CM Lakshman Sawadi jumped ship from the BJP to the Congress after being denied a ticket. Here's all the latest on the Nataka from Karnataka. And when I come back, I'll have some of the sharpest political minds, pundits, psephologists who are tracking this Karnataka election very closely. And we'll look at who seems to have the winning momentum, who's struggling at this juncture in the Karnataka political league.
The BJP is battling revolts, something it is not used to in recent times. Leaders denied tickets by the BJP are openly lashing out at the top brass.
ಭ್ರಷ್ಟ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಹಣೆಪಟ್ಟಿಯನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುವಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಸವರಾಜ ಬೊಮ್ಮಾಯಿ 40% ಕಮಿಷನ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಇವತ್ತು ಜಗಜ್ಜಾಹೀರಾಗಿದೆ.
Amid the discontent, dissent and anger, former Deputy CM Lakshman Sawadi has joined the Congress. The first confirmation of the cross-party switch came from leader of opposition Siddaramaiah earlier in the day.
Chanakya University say 100% authenticate will be given to Saudi. He is contesting on Congress ticket.
The official induction happened a few hours later. The BJP is fuming.
यही मैं कहूँगा भाजपा ने सब कुछ दिया. जिस व्यक्ति को डिप्टी सीएम भी दिया, कोर कमेटी में हारने के बाद कोर कमेटी में ले आए, एमएलसी बनाया, उनको ऐसा निर्णय नहीं करना चाहिए था. इस ऐसे निर्णय करने से भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं को कष्ट होता है.
Sawadi, who made headlines in 2012 for watching porn in the assembly, will now contest the 2023 elections from Athani on a Congress ticket. Sawadi will face BJP's Mahesh Kummathahalli, who had switched from Congress to BJP after the 2018 state polls. The BJP is yet to announce its candidate from Shivamoga, where it is fighting rebellion. On Thursday, K.S. Ishwarappa's son Kantesh met B.S. Yedurappa at his residence, fueling speculation that Ishwarappa's son may be in the reckoning for his father's seat. Former Karnataka CM Jagdish Shettar was also not included in the second list. Yedurappa has expressed confidence that Shettar will be given a ticket to contest polls.
99% Jagdish Shettar ji will be given ticket. He is in Delhi only. Most probably that name will be cleared in Hubli city.
The suspense on the candidature of Shettar and Ishwarappa has cast a cloud on the BJP's election campaign.
Congress also believe that with Lakshman Sawadi's entry to Congress, they can restore the lost glory in Belagavi district of Karnataka. With Nagarjun Sagairaj reporting for India Today, Bengaluru.
So what is the state of play in Battle Royale Karnataka at this juncture? Where does the political stock exchange of Karnataka stand? Joining us for perspective, I want to welcome first in our studios Yashwant Deshmukh, lead cephalogist at C-Voter. Yashwant, welcome. He's been running a tracker poll in the state of Karnataka. He'll give us his sense of where he thinks things stand. With us is Rahul Verma, fellow at the Center for Policy Research. No one understands Karnataka in quite the way that Dr. Sandeep Shastri does, political scientist, national coordinator at Lokniti. with us is my colleague, Rajdeep Sardesai. He's itching to get into the battlefield himself and has been tracking many a Karnataka election. So I want to go across first to the election intelligence dashboard. This, in fact, is where we are, this is the launch of the election intelligence dashboard in some ways for Karnataka. And I want to give you a sense of where things stand at this moment in Karnataka as we get set for the most crucial phase of the polling. Largely, seats have now been allocated, although some headache still remains for both parties and the JDS as well. But this is where the starting line is. The BJP with 104, the Congress at 80, the JDS at 37. And there's lots of granularity that we'll be bringing out on the show with the cephalogist. And one of the crucial things that's coming out is that the number of seats, Yashwant, where the battles are getting tighter between the number one winner and the runner-up is much more than it has been in the elections going back to the 80s. What that suggests really is that because of smaller parties, because of independent candidates, the battle in Karnataka is getting closer than ever before in more seats than previously.
One of the reasons, Rahul, is that, if you look across this thing, these, as you can say, marginal seats or battleground seats, they are not just restricted to any one particular region. And as we know, that is the up north is the Lingayat territory, up down, south down is the Vokaliga territory, and like that. But there are almost about 50 odd seats still in Karnataka where none of these, big groups actually form a winning majority of sort of equation. And it is that kind of a gray area or gray zone, as you may call it, where in every region you have got one or the two seats. In totality, that number gets down to almost like 50. And that is going to be critical because I believe that it's been too long, way too long, Rahul, that we have seen or we have analyzed Karnataka only from the binocular of Lingayat and Vokaligas. But it is the OBC category, the middle ground, that swing vote, which actually forms the big chunk over there. And one thing which I want to share with our viewers over here, every time we talk about the caste equations, we generally somehow end up discussing Lingayat in the range of 17-18%. But in the random probability surveys as well, and as well as the caste census of Karnataka, which happened in the last elections, government, Lingayat was somewhere around 13 or 14%. So the overall, it could be because of many factors and many territories. But the thing is, there are seats and there are battles which go beyond calculations of Lingayat and Vokaliga.
Now, if you see the number of seats where the winner has changed in every election in the last 3 elections is 165 out of 224. What that means is almost 2/3 of the seats are seats where you can see a change in the winner and the loser. The Congress in the last 3 elections has got about 27 stronghold seats. There are seats that the Congress can relatively be comfortable about. They hope that these are seats that they can repeat. The BJP has about 22. And it is the Janata Dal Secular which has about 10 stronghold seats that they've won in every election for the last 3 elections. I want to show you where the pollsters stand at this moment to give you a sense of what's coming out in different polls. Yashwant put out his last poll where he seems to think the Congress is likely to get a majority. The BJP, he predicts between 68 and 80, the Congress between 115 to 127. Then there is Metri's, which says that the BJP is ahead, but it's essentially a tight fight. And then there's something called People's Pulse, which again is predicting a dead heat. So what is it, Yashwant, that you're picking up, which the other pollsters aren't, where you seem to think the Congress is quite decisively in the lead in Karnataka?
Well, number one thing is the sentiment for change, Rahul. We do ask the question, are you upset with this government? And we give that option that, okay, I am upset and I wish to change. I am upset, but I don't wish to change. And I am not upset and I want to continue. In the case of Uttar Pradesh, for example, there was a significant number of people who said they were upset, but they don't wish to change. And that is why in UP we were very clear that BJP, even they might have a loss of between 15 to 70 seats, but still they will get back to power because people are kind of angry, but they do not wish to change. In case of Karnataka, somehow we are getting almost like 57% people saying that they are looking for a change. Now, when the people, it's a kind of a thing, when you get in the data or in the public emotion, they are looking for a change, that becomes more and more decisive or clear as and when the election dates start coming near. Now 57% is a big number, and arguably everybody would understand that, okay, there is a triangular fight, so there is a JDS at play as well to split the anti-incumbency vote, if one may so. But the thing is, JDS is such a regional player in Karnataka that its entire plan is pretty much limited only and only to South.
Remember, if you look at the JDS's vote share, they're picking up more and more votes in lesser and lesser seats. So their geographic spread, election after election, is actually coming down. Rajdeep, your thoughts? You've got Yashwant here saying that the Congress decisively in the lead. He actually anticipates that as we come closer to polling day, the Congress's margin over the BJP will actually grow, because in his survey, people are suggesting a very strong desire for change.
Rahul, Karnataka is one of those states where I would hesitate to stick my neck out, simply because if you look at the last 5 elections, 3 have thrown up hung assemblies and the margins are very low. And Karnataka is a very strange state. Last time, you will recall, Congress actually got higher vote percentage than the BJP, but the BJP actually got more seats. In fact, it's one of the few states where our exit poll also went slightly awry as a result. And in Karnataka, because the caste equations vary so sharply from region to region, Mumbai, Karnataka's politics is very different to that of old Mysore. And I believe these are the two critical regions that will decide Karnataka. Very difficult to predict. The one thing one can say, and I think Yashwant's numbers suggest that, is that there is anti-incumbency. There is more than the usual normal anti-incumbency this time in Karnataka. The question, therefore, is it sufficient to push the Congress over that 112 mark to a majority, or does the Congress remain single largest and just short of the majority? I think these are the two scenarios which I see at the moment in Karnataka. Either the Congress takes full advantage of anti-incumbency and crosses halfway mark, or gets the benefit of anti-incumbency, but because it is an unusually triangular state, with very strong localized factors and very strong inter-regional disparities, does Karnataka once again throw a hung assembly? So I think these are the factors to look at. And I think old Mysore, where the JDS got 29 out of the 66 seats last time, and the Lingayat belt of Mumbai, Karnataka, where the BJP got 30 of the 48 seats, will decide. If the BJP erodes substantially in Mumbai, Karnataka, as they did in 2013, but remember in 2013, Yediyurappa had rebelled against the BJP or been thrown out of the party, and old Mysore, where the JDS, could that shrink? I think that will decide what happens in Karnataka, but strongly localized. You just look at the churning that's taking place even in the candidate list. The moment someone doesn't get a ticket from either the BJP or the Congress, they're happy to switch sides or contest as strong independents. Now, that doesn't happen in too many other states. Karnataka is a very, very difficult state, therefore, to predict. Yes, advantage Congress, as Yashwant's poll says, but is the advantage big enough for the Congress to get a majority is the big question mark.
GVL Narasimha Rao is with us, hopefully in his capacity as a cephalogist, not so much as a member of parliament of the BJP. GVL, if we look at the data suggests that the BJP is in for a rough ride in Karnataka. For one, the polls are suggesting that there is a high level of anti-incumbency. What goes in your favor is that you have a formidable election fighting machine. However, conversely, once voters start expressing frustration in polls, Yashwant Deshmukh argues as you come closer to the polling day, the advantage in the favor of the opponent against the government actually starts increasing. Would that then suggest that the BJP is in for a rough ride on the 13th of May?
Certainly, I think you cannot go by conventional wisdom, Rahul, because conventional wisdom often gets you wrong. Because the BJP has been in government for 5 years, because we had not obtained a majority in the last election or in any election before. So pollsters would tend to err on the side of caution. Therefore, they would, I think Congress always looks like a formidable party in Karnataka because they have presence in all regions of the state. as Rajdeep mentioned, in the last election also, the Congress polled 2%, almost 2 percentage points more than the BJP, but secured 24 less seats. And that happens all the time. This was not a fluke election. This was not a election that's not out of the ordinary. This is how elections happen. And when you win on a 36, 37% of a sample vote base, because that's the vote share for the BJP, and we've been winning almost a majority with that kind of percentage. So you will always have a majority of the people who will not be happy with you from the day one of your government. At any given time, about 60% of the people in Karnataka would want an alternate government and not the BJP. So 57% or 55% saying we want a change of government doesn't sound new at all. What you have to do is we have to retain our vote share and penetrate areas where we have not been able to ensure victories. For us, getting a majority is our target, not to emerge as a single largest party that we anyway are going to be without a doubt.
You know, the most important thing that GVL Narasimha Rao just said is that the BJP needs to expand beyond where it's already well entrenched, and that is primarily the area of old Mysore. And I want to put that data out on your screen right now, and what you will see is where the BJP stood in 2018, which is when the last assembly elections happened over there, and what happened in 2019, which is when the Modi mania helped the BJP win even in old Mysore. So the BJP had only about 18% of the vote share in old Mysore in 2018. They more than doubled that to 39.6 in the Lok Sabha elections of 2019. The Congress was at 34, it crashed to 23.6. The JDS was at 37, that came down to 21.7. So essentially, Rahul Verma, if the BJP is able to do somewhere as well as they did in 2019, even if it's not exactly as well, but roughly in that region, and the JDS's vote share and tally crashes in the way it did between 18 and 19, then some of what GVL Narasimha Rao is saying on the show makes sense. But that was the Modi election, that was a national election. This is much more a local state election. But in that sense, old Mysore then becomes key to whether what GVL is saying is backed by rationale or it's just bluster.
Thank you, Rahul. You're absolutely right. See, couple of points. First, in Karnataka, the reason BJP scores higher in number of seats, even with lesser vote share, is because of this disproportionality. In the old Mysore region, BJP does really badly in terms of vote share and seat share, and that's the difference which we always see in the votes. Second point, can BJP, so for old Mysore to become the key of this election, BJP will have to hold on to its performance in the coastal Karnataka, in the Bombay Karnataka, and in the central Karnataka region. If BJP, as Yashwant pointed out, if BJP is facing anti-incumbency in all other parts of the state, then old Mysore, even if it penetrates, is not going to help. Third, in 2019, yes, Congress JDS alliance created an opportunity for BJP to enter in the old Mysore region, and Prime Minister being on the ticket, it pulled up BJP's vote share in the old Mysore region. But even then, if BJP's vote share in the state was 51%, in old Mysore region, which you just pointed out, was just 31%, right? So even with Prime Minister Modi on the ticket, BJP's penetration in old Mysore region remains incomplete. All 3 seats, or 2 seats at least, which went to Congress and JDS, Mysore and Hassan, not Mysore, sorry, Bangalore rural and Hassan. Those 2 seats are in old Mysore region, right? And Mandya went to an independent who was supported by BJP. So old Mysore still remains a sort of an Achilles heel for the BJP. And I don't think old Mysore alone can change the game if BJP doesn't manage to hold on to its
it has to hold on to its other regions and do well here. Then it has chance of increasing its footprint. In fact, what the BJP is doing, and Sandeep Shastri can talk a bit about it, is increasing the number of Vokaligas who are getting seats. Now, if you look at the seats that have been distributed so far, the BJP has given out 1,212 seats. The Congress has given out 166 seats so far. Out of this, the BJP has 43 Vokaligas, the Congress has 29, the BJP has 52 Lingayats, and the Congress has 43. But the fact that the BJP is putting up 43 Vokaliga candidates suggests, Sandeep Shastri, that they think that they've been able to penetrate old Mysore enough to be able to challenge the Congress and the JDS over there. If not, if they just make marginal gains over the last assembly elections in old Mysore, then it is actually advantage Congress. And I'll just explain that to our viewers. Think of it this way, that you've got essentially in old Mysore, the Congress and the JDS close to each other. If the BJP comes up just marginally, the Congress largely holds on to its vote share, but it's the JDS's vote share which goes down. As the JDS's vote share goes down, the Congress's chances of winning actually increase. Therefore, the BJP doesn't have to go up just marginally, it has to go up enough to be able to push both the Congress and the JDS down. So this is, do you think this is based on some strong rationale that they've actually penetrated old Mysore enough to be able to trounce the JDS and the Congress? Or do you think this piece of strategy could potentially backfire and prove costly on the 13th of May?
Rahul, after listening to what my colleagues on the panel have said, I'd like to make 4 points to your question. Number 1, no party has been able to get a majority in Karnataka if they do not do well in the old Mysore region and the Mumbai-Karnataka region. This has been empirically proved in the previous elections. And if the BJP fell short of a majority in 2008 and 2018, a lot of it had to do with the old Mysore region, and therefore the increasing focus on the old Mysore region by the BJP. Point number 2. Yes, there has been an increase in the number of Vokaliga candidates, but if you compare it with the candidate list of the BJP of the previous election, last time also they fielded a large number of the Vokaliga candidates. It's just that they did not win those seats. So merely the presence of Vokaliga candidates in large numbers this time is not an indicator of what is likely to happen. It's more or less the same number of Vokaliga candidates who have stood last time and this time. I think there is another point, Rahul, we need to keep in mind, which Yashwant raised. I am now actually in Mysore and going around the state. One sentiment I am hearing among BJP supporters also is, we are for Mr. Modi, we will vote for the BJP next year when we have a Lok Sabha election, but this time around the unhappiness with the state BJP government is patently visible, and even many strong supporters of the BJP are saying that this time it looks to be a little different. While I also thirdly agree with Yashwant that maybe the Lingayat and Vokaliga factor, their percentages are not what they are projected to be, but I would add, Yashwant, the fact that since 1956, in every assembly in Karnataka, the Vokaligas and Lingayat legislators have been a majority. They have always been more than 112 of the legislators in the state. And it's for that reason that these two communities are referred to in important ways as the dominant caste.
Nail on the head. And GVL has his hand up. I'm coming back to you in just a moment. Before we lose the track of what you said, because GVL is itching to come in on the issue about the Prime Minister. Now, what's very clear, and I want to put this in context, is that Karnataka is not Gujarat. Gujarat is a Hindutva BJP laboratory. Many of the BJP leaders, MLAs, local leaders, are actually imported, sometimes from the JDS, sometimes from the Congress. They're not, many of them are not hardcore BJP walas in the manner in which, say, someone like a Yadurappa is. The second point is, after the tickets have been allocated in about 24 odd seats, the BJP is facing dissension. Now remember, they sensed some dissension in Gujarat as well when some big leaders had their tickets cut off, but there was a sense of respect, fear, whatever you want to call it, towards the big two in the BJP, and they all backtracked. Here, for example, we saw today one former deputy chief minister just hop across and get a ticket on a Congress party seat. So that wouldn't typically happen in a state like Gujarat. Third, the sense that Sandeep Shastri is saying that even the BJP supporter realizes that this hasn't been an outstanding government. They're not as proud of it in the manner in which voters were in Uttar Pradesh, where they really had a lot of pride around Yogi Adityanath. They're like, okay, next year we'll again come back to the BJP, but this time they themselves aren't so delighted with what you've done, GVL.
Yeah, Rahul, I have gone around parts of Karnataka, and my teams have gone many places. What Sandeep Shastri ji mentioned is something that even I have heard of. But there is a catch there. A lot of people who, you see, 36% is our vote share. That is some kind of a ceiling for us. It has been a ceiling for us in the state elections. But come parliament elections, a lot more people vote for the BJP in the name of Prime Minister Modi ji. We've seen how Rajasthan, we were routed in the assembly elections, and we won then all the 25 parliament seats. Same story happened in Madhya Pradesh. We barely lost assembly election, but we swept Lok Sabha.
No, but I'm not talking about 2024. None of what we are saying is in the context of the Lok Sabha elections. Abhi ki baat karo na, abhi kya hoga 10th of May ko?
Yes. You see, when you talk to some people who are not inclined, who are not voters of the BJP, continuous voters of the BJP, confirmed supporters of the BJP, they would tell you this story. These, I don't think they fall within the 36% kitty that we continue to get in every election, typically, except the 2008 election, keep that aside. But the remaining neutral voters who vote for Prime Minister in the name of Prime Minister for the BJP in Lok Sabha elections, all of them may not be enthused about the state election.
Okay, let Sandeep Shastri come in on it. You're making a very important point, and I'm glad you're speaking like a psephologist and not as a neta. He's saying from 36 to 51, that extra 15% is the Modi vote. You've been speaking to that 15%. He thinks this 36% is still safe.
I also respect the point which GVLG is making and see the logic of his argument. The fact that the BJP has this, as he would put it, a solid 34% vote. My larger point is that even among those who have been traditional BJP voters, there is some sense of disconnect which is there with the government at the state level, given the nature of performance we have had in the last 3.5 years, and given the fact that especially in the last 4 to 6 months, the agenda setting has been done much more by the Congress and the BJP has been on the back foot, whereas in the first 2.5 years of its rule, it was actually the other way around. And for the BJP, there have been a series of issues which have forced them to go on the back foot, including now the latest stand the Supreme Court has taken on the 4% Muslim reservation. But Rahul, let me make one more point which I wanted to make in my earlier submission.
Yes.
Which is with regard to the Janata Dal. Now, the Janata Dal has always done much better in the assembly elections than in the Lok Sabha elections. This time around, their focus is much more on the old Mysore region. But there again, within the first family of the Janata Dal, there has been a crisis. The two brothers are fighting with each other for a seat for the wives of one of the two brothers. They have resolved it now and wanting to move her to Mysore district. But I'm sure the implications of this are going to be there in terms of the way the party is going to go before the people. Its workers are going to be enthused to be able to get the party support. I think there is going to be a challenge.
I want to make a point.
The real battle is in the old Mysore region, and whether the BJP can really catch on to retain its vote in Mumbai, Karnataka, given the fact that a lot of the rebellion is in that region, I think is an important point to note.
You know, this is the Karnataka Political League, the KPL, but whether it's the IPL or life, you know, luck sometimes matters.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the BJP just has had a series of, you know, incidents of bad luck, which, not bad luck, but things which are beyond their control. For example, they actually did purely from a political perspective, a smart thing by taking reservation away from the minority. I'm not saying I support it. I'm just telling you from an election perspective and giving it 2% to the Vokaligas, 2% to the Lingayats, thinking that this would help both those communities by giving them some extra reservation and taking it away from the minorities. Now, you've got the Supreme Court saying that they're not happy with what's happened, and that kind of puts a brake on it. So whatever benefit could have come from that move then is paused. Similarly, Amul tweeting to say on the 14th of April that they would be entering quick commerce and e-commerce in Karnataka for milk and for curd was never really about a full-fledged Amul entry versus Nandini in Karnataka. That was never the intention, but that's the manner in which the Congress was able to whip it up. And a lot of this data in the margins, in those undecided voters, depends on narratives that parties are able to build. And ordinarily, GVL's party are full of geniuses who are able to build. I'm not suggesting that they do the right thing. I'm just saying that they're able to build the narrative. Is bar balla hi nahi chal raha. You know, they're not being able to do a 5 sixes on 5 balls, Rinku Singh. They need a Rinku Singh. Right now, they don't have a Rinku Singh.
I know, but the thing is that somehow I am also sensing the fact that, you know, the changes in the Vokaliga, number of Vokaliga, which you just mentioned, the BJP has given significantly bigger number of seats to Vokaligas. I think they have also realized that till the point of time they crack this puzzle of Vokaliga and Southern Territory, they will always be held hostage to the Operation Lotus kind of scenario. So maybe they have kind of thinking along that, okay, we need to think of a long-term, strategy, but to attain that thing, it will be, unfortunately for them, it will boomerang this time, because as you very rightly said, BJP doing good in the Southern Territory will be advantage Congress by default.
You can't just land a punch. If you want to punch, you have to punch so hard that the other guy falls down. Just landing the odd punch doesn't
work
do
that way. It doesn't
anything
work
for the
that way.
BJP.
Yeah.
They have to hit the JDS so hard that they fall. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But Rahul Verma, I want to bring you in on the issue of narratives, which is what GVL touched on. They simply, in Karnataka, haven't been able to middle the ball from the middle of the bat. I mean, it's taking an edge, it's going to slips, it's going to third man, they're trying various things, including taking reservation away from the minorities. It somehow isn't coming together. So the narrative is simply not being built in favor of the BJP in the way that they usually manage to do in other states. How costly could that be in the end?
It's going to definitely cost them. But see, Rahul, this idea of message or narrative is not a standalone thing. It's also linked to a couple of other things, which is basically your machine, your leadership, and all those things, right? Like, so in Karnataka, if you think about all those 4 or 5 factors on which elections are won or lost, BJP is either sort of like in contest with Congress or behind them. BJP does not have any significant better organizational machinery in Karnataka than Congress. It may have in Gujarat or in other parts of the country, but not in Karnataka. Similarly, on the question of leadership at the state level, the strongman Yedurappa is behind the scenes, but Bommai doesn't have that kind of charisma, right? And whereas you have Siddaramaiah or DK Shivakumar, both have that kind of personality and presence. And third, on the government performance, there has been allegation, even by BJP supporters, that this government has not doing well. There are allegations of corruption, and so the narrative is actually of a very, very corrupt government. And the social coalition of BJP is also not very large in Karnataka in that sense. So your narrative or agenda setting things will always fall behind if you don't have leadership, if you don't have a machine to basically spread that narrative, and if you don't have a big enough catchment pool. And in Karnataka, on all those factors, BJP is either in sort of competition or is behind, is not far ahead of Congress on any of those things.
You know, the other thing the Congress is usually very good at is scoring self-goals. Somehow, in Karnataka, they've been able to keep the self-goals out. The defense has been tight. For example, Rahul Gandhi was to go to Kolar thrice over. The trip has been postponed. He's in Wayanad and traveling elsewhere. He hasn't come into... If he says something, the Congress GVL is already smiling. He may say something which the BJP can then latch on to. He hasn't really come into Karnataka, so he hasn't had an opportunity to potentially score a goal or say something which the BJP can catch on like he did in London. So therefore, you've got the Congress for once defending tight, which is not usually, their defense is loose and GVL and others can punch one goal after the other. They've kind of kept it tight.
They won Himachal like that. Please try to understand.
Rahul.
See, the best thing Rahul Gandhi could have contributed to the Himachal Pradesh Congress
That
was
not
go there.
He hasn't gone.
And he hasn't gone.
It's been announced thrice that he'll go to Kolar, but he hasn't gone. They've kept him in the pavilion.
So and that's the ironical part of it. And I guess that if Congress feels so, at this point of time, you are saying absolutely bang on that they have held the fort very tight. Only problem would be, the kind of remaining seats and the Siddaramaiah versus D.K. Shivakumar faction is that we talk about. If they can get over that, good enough. But then, as we have seen in the case of Congress for significant number of elections, in the recent past, they have this uncanny habit of, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And that is something which will always keep them on edge.
No, but which is true. But remember, we now have, it's the 14th today, so there's less than a month to go for the polling day, GVL. And as you come closer and closer to the polling day, think of it like cricket. Your asking rate keeps going up. And ultimately, you may be literally left in a situation where you have to hit 5 sixes of 5 balls to be able to win. Rinku Singh did it the other day in the IPL. It's a very difficult thing. If you ask the BJP, when they are winning, they'll tell you that the election by now is cast. Like it kind of gets settled, it's sealed. It's very difficult, very, very difficult, unless the other guy just, bowls full tosses and is bowling no balls and wides and kind of messing it up. It's very difficult to be able to come back from there, GVL. Who's your Rinku Singh? Kahan hai aapka Rinku Singh?
No, I think whether it's Rinku Singh or the captain, anything. I think we have one leader who does all the jobs, and he's delivered several elections to us. But unlike cricket, elections are not decided in the last 3 weeks. I think many of us tend to believe that election campaigns decide the outcome of elections. Far from it. Elections get decided much earlier, and certainly candidates in assembly elections are an important factor. But I don't think campaigns or what strategies you adopt during campaign change the complexion of an election or outcome is completely, I don't subscribe to that at all. But having said that, Rahul Gandhi's, you see, many of you in the media calculated that Rahul Gandhi's disqualification from Lok Sabha is going to put the Congress on fire. Nothing, Congress needs to do nothing. They will win Karnataka.
Who are you talking about? Now listen, I don't know what channels you're watching, but this is all hawa mein.
People in the media.
So you're watching the wrong channels then. Don't watch all of this. See, when you want to have a sensible conversation, when you want to have a sensible conversation, come to us.
Massive sympathy for Rahul Gandhi.
So I don't know what you're watching. I don't know what they're smoking. None of that is true.
But is that not a narrative? Please be honest to yourself. Did you not hear this narrative after disqualification of Rahul Gandhi?
But he is not a factor,
This is a blunder by the BJP.
The smartest thing the Congress is doing is to keep him away from Karnataka. He'll have a marginal presence there. They don't want him to campaign. That's the point I'm making.
Rahul. That doesn't help. It hasn't helped them in Gujarat. Gujarat and Himachal went to polls together.
Sir, Gujarat is not Karnataka. Oh, one second. Now GVL started talking like a politician. Now this I don't like. You were here as a cephalogist. You're comparing Gujarat and Karnataka. You know better than anybody else that the structure that you have, the opponent that you're up against in Gujarat is not comparable. Here is a battle of near equals. Now here's the point I wish to make. The BJP does have a formidable machine, and in the end, Rahul Verma, they'll unleash that machine. There's a minister who's being sent virtually to every district. They'll try and go booth to booth, make it a matter of prestige. But is the gap now just too much to be able to come back from here? GVL, of course, is thinking that you've got Modi. Modi can do what, say, Rinku Singh did. But that may be possible in a Lok Sabha context. Can that still, at this juncture, be possible in an assembly context?
I think that's difficult. We saw that didn't help in Himachal. And GVL in some ways is right that electoral sort of contest is set in motion much before the campaign begins. Of course, that gap, if it's narrow, can be dealt with during the campaign, but you cannot completely overturn an election. And that seems to be likely to That seems to be the case in Karnataka. I don't think, yes, BJP, if it unleashes its machine, its energy, and tries to organize everything, it can make the election a close contest. But can it defeat by winning single-handedly? I think that's a tall order. I don't want to rule that out in elections, and especially an election which is a month away. Anything can happen. But that's a difficult order for BJP now.
But Sandeep Shastri,
And Rahul,
GVL
just
Narasimha Rao, yes, very quickly.
One more thing. I think, see, BJP, yes, it has organizational presence across the country and it has a machine that it can unleash in some part of the country. But there are also regions and states in the country where the opposition party's machine is equally strong. And Karnataka seems to be one of those places where Congress machine is strong. So BJP does not have any significant advantage in terms of organization in Karnataka.
Sandeep Shastri, between now and the 10th of May, what do you think could potentially change? The BJP is facing some dissent at this moment, some switchovers, so that is kind of anticipated, but will damage them at this moment seemingly on 22 seats, but maybe they'll be able to rescue some of those. What do you think could potentially be the X factors? And that one point that Yashwant made, which is not particularly about Karnataka, but is true largely of all elections, that once there is momentum in favor of a party, as you come closer to the polling day, usually that momentum tends to increase. It's very rare that suddenly the momentum changes once there's momentum that's built in one direction.
Rahul, 3 points on that and made very quickly. Point number 1, Karnataka in the past polls has seen a majority of the voters saying we took a decision on who to vote for much before the campaign started. But in a close race like this one,
how many?
Those who decided the last
One second. What's your sense of the percentage of voters who at this moment are undecided? What's your sense of the percentage of voters who by now have already made up their minds?
If I remember right, across our past polls, we have found 6 out of 10 voters saying we took a decision on who to vote for much before the election was announced. And the remaining 4 of 10 said, some of them said we decided that once the candidates were announced, and the others said a few days before the poll. So in a tight race, the fact that many have decided beforehand is important, but the fact that the campaign can make a difference for a significant number who can actually tilt the scales is also important. That's my first point. The second point I'd like to make is the Congress is consciously trying to focus on a local campaign, and that's why you don't have the streaming in of the big national leaders of the party. They are more making it a local campaign because that's the way you can challenge the ruling party, especially on its performance at the state level. Thirdly, building up a momentum in a campaign. If you look at the past, the BJP has always been strong in building up a momentum when it is attacking a ruling party. When you are the ruling party yourself, and sometimes that ruling party is on the back foot, as is seen in Karnataka, building up that momentum in favor of the ruling party takes a lot of effort, and I'm not saying that that effort is not happening, and I'm not saying that that effort will not bear fruit. It could happen, but then this is a factor we will need to budget into the analysis. And lastly, I think the declaration of candidates for me was a litmus test for both the parties. The level of dissidence in the Congress as compared to the BJP has been less visible.
Why is that?
Maybe you could say because the BJP is the ruling party, the sense of the reason is the BJP has much more factionalism in terms of new entrants, old entrants, those from the frontal organizations, and the factional fight is often seen in terms of the actions of people who have been denied tickets. You look at all those who have been denied tickets, the statements they have made has all been attacking somebody from another faction. So I think the factional fight, and given the nature of the BJP in Karnataka, that has become more intense. Now, The remaining seats, which will be very crucial for both the Congress and the BJP and to a certain extent the Janata Dal, will finally decide the intensity of the unity that the Congress and the BJP can maintain. And Rahul, for me, the edge in this election will be with that party which is able to demonstrate that unity in a more stronger way, which is able to contain that factionalism when all candidates are announced and as you go into this final phase of the campaign. And here, as Yashwant said, the Congress has had this unique knack of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, and Congress watchers would be watching how this campaign plays out. And the BJP has had this knack in previous elections of doing a last-minute change. Is there enough momentum to do this? Is the big question in Karnataka.
Yashwant Deshmukh, I started with you, I want to end with you. From your perspective, what are the X factors, what could change, and how convinced are you that as momentum builds, it tends to solidify, because the BJP is hoping to do a last-minute battle charge. Can that go through the Congress's defenses?
And if they are hoping it, it's not without a reason, because they, as you mentioned, that their plus points are their election machinery is like
resources, Modi, Shah,
and then they've got two
Yogi.
Rinku Singhs, you know, I mean that way, in the last thing. Only thing that the Congress has to do is that they should not ideally give the last over to Rahul Gandhi. That's the only thing that
don't bowl wides, don't bowl full tosses.
They just stay focused on. See, the entire game is like national versus the local narrative. If the Congress manages to retain the election campaign on the local issues, local state government, make it local, then it will be safe, it will be sailing through. But if they try to make it in a national narrative, make it...
But they won't. Why would they?
I mean, they have done it so many times.
What is required from the BJP's perspective is a Congress self-goal. That they end up saying
that's
or
what
doing
they should
something.
be open. That what GVL should require is that one. While I genuinely believe, and I can tell this thing to GVL, that I genuinely believe that actually losing Karnataka would be a blessing in disguise for GVL's party.
Why?
Because you remember even the MOTN survey, you see, we generally see a Modi dividend in the Lok Sabha elections, we all know that. But in our January MOTN poll, we projected 17 or 18 seats for Karnataka if the Lok Sabha elections are held today. No. So if they have to win Karnataka back like 20 plus, 25 plus seats, then if there is a Congress state government and a resourceful state government, you can expect all the anti-incumbency under the sun for a Congress-led state government in the next 12 months before the Lok Sabha session. So it could be a blessing in disguise. I mean, though GVL might disagree with me.
GVL, I'm out of time. You have your finger up, so I'm going to give you 20 seconds to make final remarks.
Yeah, Rahul, there are states which we lost. In those states, we swept in Lok Sabha polls. And in states which we won, also we won with bigger margins in Lok Sabha polls. So therefore,
we're not talking about the Lok Sabha polls. We're only talking about 10th of May.
You see, for 10th of May, the Congress is already on the defensive. They are playing a defensive game. They do not want their leadership to enter Karnataka. They're scared.
They're listen, very often Italy plays a defensive game and still comes up victorious. You don't have to play the way the BJP wants you to play. You only need to play enough to be able to win. Here's what I wish to say in conclusion. We're seeing in Karnataka a BJP that doesn't know how to lose or doesn't want to lose and will do whatever they can between now and the 10th to try and pull off an improbable victory, or at least damage the Congress enough that the BJP and the JDS will be able to form a government post the 13th of May. That's plan B in case plan A doesn't work out. And you're up against a Congress which in recent times hasn't shown that it has the ability to win when taking on the BJP. Think of it like Bangladesh versus India. You think Bangladesh is winning and yet somehow in the middle of the match they do something silly and they end up losing, whereas the whole match is set for them to win. So that's the Congress versus the BJP. So you've got the BJP looking for a gap in the Congress's defenses, wanting to hit a few shots home, and you've got the Congress at this moment playing strong, tight defense. GVL would like them to play more like the Brazilians. The Congress is saying, no, hamara Ronaldo, hamara Rahul pavilion mein baitha hai, that's where we want him to be. It's an exciting election. Who knows? Things could change. You've got somebody who doesn't want to lose versus somebody who hasn't tasted much victory recently and therefore maybe isn't fully convinced that they can actually win a big state in a direct face-off. That's what makes Karnataka the most exciting election this year. for the time being. First and foremost, thank you, GVL, for largely playing the role of a cephalogist and leaving your Neta cap on the side. Rahul Verma, Sandeep Shastri, Rashwan Deshmukh were fantastic as always. I really enjoyed this conversation and I hope so did you. We will do more of these conversations, including next Friday from Karnataka as we build up to the Big India Today Karnataka Roundtable on the 22nd. We'll have a political stock exchange or the Karnataka Stock Exchange from Bengaluru next Friday. Thank you for tuning in. God bless and I'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
As State of War Karnataka begins, a reminder, who is the true number one? The 5 big voices speak to us before all the others. From Chief Minister Bommai to Chief Challenger Siddaramaiah, from old warhorse Yadurappa to muscleman DK Shivakumar and Kingmaker Kumaraswamy. When it's Karnataka, there's no competition. India's #1 election channel.
A horrific gang murder by shooters of Dawn turned former Samajwadi Party MP Atiq Ahmed. Mahant Yogi Adityanath promising to cleanse his state of Mafia Raj. That promise by Yogi Adityanath lies fulfilled. Mafia Don Atiq Ahmed's son Asad Ahmed, who was seen opening fire on Umesh Pal and had a 5 lakh rupee bounty on his head, was shot dead in an encounter in UP's Jhansi. Asad was traced while hiding near the Paricha Dam along with fellow gangster and shooter Gulam. When surrounded by UPSTF officials and asked to surrender, Asad allegedly opened fire, leading to retaliatory fire which killed Asad and Gulam. 2 foreign-made guns were recovered from the slain duo.
ये गाड़ी वही है जिस पर जो अतीक अहमद का बेटा जो है वो जा रहा था। आप देखिएगा यहाँ पर मुठभेड़ हुई है और कुछ दूरी पर वो भी दिखाएंगे। आप देखिएगा जो सामने दिख रहा है तमंचा पड़ा हुआ है, वो तमंचा भी देखिएगा। जो असलहा है, जिस असलहा से टीम पर हमला किया गया था, वो असलहा भी दिखाया गया है। यहाँ पर भागते समय एसटीएफ ने उन पर हमला किया है।
फाइनली इनको हम लोगों ने ट्रैक डाउन करने में सफलता प्राप्त की है और जो इन द एनसुइंग एनकाउंटर दे हैव बीन गन डाउन।
The 12-member team of UPSTF led by Deputy SPs Navendu Kumar Naveen and Vimal Kumar Singh earned laurels from Yogi Adityanath government for the operation.
अभियुक्तों के पास से अत्याधुनिक विदेशी हथियार क्रमशः ब्रिटिश बुलडॉग रिवॉल्वर 455 बोर तथा वॉल्थर P88 पिस्टल 7.62 बोर बरामद की गई है।
The grateful family of Umesh Pal profusely thanked the Yogi government after the encounter.
जो हम चिल्ला रहे थे कि उनका एनकाउंटर किया जाए, तो मेरे हाथ में नहीं था, मेरा कहना था। लेकिन मैं इस समय मुख्यमंत्री जी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करती हूँ और पुलिस विभाग के ऊपर जो कि उन लोगों ने मुख्यमंत्री का आदेश।
They may not have the necessary resources, they may not have the finances, but where there is a will, there is a way. These superwomen living in a slum in UP's Prayagraj have commenced their own tiffin service. For 50 rupees, you can get a piping hot meal of dal, chawal, roti, sabzi and salad.
टिफिन सर्विस के काम हम लोग अब खाना बनाने लगे हैं। खाना यहाँ अच्छा लगता है और वहाँ काम करने झाड़ू पोछा जाते थे तो 4 बात सुननी पड़ती, कभी लड़का बीमार हो गया, आज नहीं आएंगे, क्यों नहीं आओगी, पैसा काट लेंगे, पैसा नहीं देंगे। अब यहाँ है तो अच्छा लगता है, आपको खर्चा भी निकल आता है हम लोग को।
Their daughters also chip in after school, helping in packing food and of course spreading the word on their mother's amazing service. Several other girls also help in any way they can. The tiffin service has now become a community affair.
मेरे बस्ती के लोग बहुत सब चूल्हा बर्तन करते हैं। मेरी मम्मी भी चूल्हा बर्तन करने जाती हैं। मैं यहाँ पर शुरुआत में खाना भी बनाती हूँ, मैं पढ़ती भी हूँ और इससे मेरा खर्चा भी निकल जाता है, इससे मेरे परिवार भी खुश है।
So who's the motivator? Who pushed these women to pursue their passion and earn a buck or two? Meet Abhishek. He teaches the children of this slum and decided to help out these ladies to become self-reliant.
हम लोग पिछले 7 वर्षों से जो स्लम की बच्चियां होते हैं, बच्चे होते हैं, उनको शिक्षित करने का काम कर रहे हैं और इसके साथ साथ में हम उन्हें स्वावलंबी बनाने के लिए लगातार प्रयास कर रहे थे। तो उसी दौरान हमें पता चला कि जो यहाँ की महिलाएं होती हैं उनके अंदर प्रतिभा तो बहुत होता है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं उसको सही प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं मिल पा रहा है। तो उनसे बात करके हमने एक टिफ़िन सर्विस की शुरुआत की।
These women have now transformed their families' lives, bringing in money to feed everyone at home. With Pankaj Srivastav in Prayagraj, Bureau Report, India Today.
Arnab, after Jio's telecom price wars, what's the Reliance game plan in the FMCG space?
Given the kind of action that is happening in the market, because Reliance has already invested over $1.1 billion in acquisition of brands and partnerships as per a recent report, and it is expected by Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan that it is going to invest another $4 billion in over the next 3 to 5 years, which is equivalent to 33,000 crore in today's currency terms. So that is a significant investment that they are making, and market competitors in the market like other leading players, FMCG players, are obviously taking note. Like for example, very recently, Mr. Varun Bedi has said that he is closely watching the development that Reliance and the new products that are coming up from the behemoth. And secondly, if you look at the Reliance's game plan, they have not only purchased new brands or launched new products, but they have also hired some of the key industry veterans. Like for example, they have hired Mr. K. Krishnakumar to head their beverages portfolio, which now includes Campa Cola, a well-known brand from 1970s and 80s. So, of course, industry competitors like HUL and others are obviously watching the developments very closely, and given the kind of price that Reliance is offering in competition to these leading multinationals, of course there could be some price cuts by them as well, the industry insiders tell us. And if you notice that HUL, after cutting pack sizes significantly over the last 2 years due to inflation, they have now started to increase their pack sizes in terms of grammage. They have started to increase the size of their packs at the same rate of late in the last one and a half months.
Co-presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist. Co-presented by General Air Conditioners, the Extreme Machine. XP100, India's first 100-octane premium petrol.